If you are a design student, and you are lucky enough to attend design school, good for you. I do know that there are many people who love to go to design school, who love to attend fashion school or design school, but they may be in certain places or certain cities or towns that don't really have a design school, and so they're unable to go. That could be one of the reasons. Another reason is design schools are pretty expensive. Design schools are pretty expensive. I was lucky enough to be in New York, so I attended two of the best fashion design schools in the world. So I was extremely lucky. But I do know a lot of others who are living in areas where they're too far away from any of the major cities or any of the design capitals, so to speak. So they may feel that they are a little bit left out. Don't be. Being a student, a design student today is very, very easy. You don't have to go to a design school. Now, please allow me to say something. If you can go to a design school, if you can, I highly recommend it. Because when you go to a design school, it is not about learning design alone. It is about learning discipline. Now, this is important because if you are a design student and you are just basically learning off YouTube and you are at home, you don't exactly have any proper schedule or any proper discipline as to when you are learning subject matter and as to when you are not learning subject matter. But when you go to design school, there is a schedule of classes that you either attend or you don't attend. And if you don't attend, you lose out. And if you do attend, you acquire a lot of valuable information. Now, when you go to design schools, there's a good chance that you are working or you're learning from a professional designer or a professional teacher who has amazing experience in the business, and you're learning from them. If you are just learning online, it is because you don't have a choice, so you have to learn online. So there's a good chance that you may learn from people who are saying things out of experience, and that's valuable to you. Or they are basically just reading, or they just read some books. They know a few things about design, and then they make a video and you think that that's what it is. It could be true, it could be incomplete, and that's a little bit dangerous. That's what I feel. And that's why I'm making this video, that I want students to understand that at the end of the day, it's about how you feel about what you're learning. Always try to learn the same subject matter from 2-3 different sources to make sure that what you're learning is actually accurate. It's important that you learn something accurate. When I went to design school in New York, all my classes, most of my classes, I'm sorry, not all, but most of my classes were in the evening. Because during the day, I was actually working. So in New York, when you go to design school, you have the option of learning a subject, a module, a course during the day, or you can also learn the same thing during the evening, because there are a lot of working professionals in New York and they work during the day. So they like to study in the evening. And I was one of those students. Even though I was a full-time student, I really wanted to spend my time usefully. So I chose to work during the day, which included internships at some high fashion design houses even before I graduated. I remember when I registered for class at Parsons, the first week when I registered for class, I got the internship at Anne Klein the week right after registration. So could you believe that? That means this week I registered for classes, semester 1. That means the first time. And the next week, I was already working at the design studios of Anne Klein, which is actually in the same building. Well, I'm talking about many years ago, in the same building as Calvin Klein. Today, I think Calvin Klein actually occupies the entire building, and Anne Klein actually moved to 7th Avenue. But before, I think Anne Klein was the first few floors of 29 West 39th Street, and on top was all Calvin Klein, the company. Now it's all totally Calvin. The whole building belongs to Calvin Klein now. But before, it used to be Anne Klein and Calvin Klein. So in the elevators, I used to, run into Calvin Klein executives, Calvin Klein designers. Then eventually, I ended up working at Calvin Klein. But my first internship or part-time job, I wasn't paid a lot of money, but they bought me lunch, they bought me breakfast, and I had access to all the sandwiches so that I could take it home, for my dinner, So it was kind of cool. It was good fun. That's a whole story on its own. But when I went to design school, that is how I actually structured my work. I went to classes during the evening, but I spent my daytime either working on campus, because I was working like a student employee on campus, and whenever I had free time, I was doing my internships. I remember being in the office in school, and they said, "Oh, no, you cannot do your internship yet because you need to do internship during your final year of schooling." And I just totally disagreed. And I said, "You know what, I won't get credit for it, and that's perfectly fine, because I was there to learn, and I know the best thing to do." See, when you're in New York City, why would you not want to work with a designer? I mean, there is nothing higher than New York City. So when you're there, you can't be spending all your time just in school. That's the way I saw it. So I spent time in school when I needed to. And when I had free time, I was in the design studios of all these different fashion companies. And I worked for quite a few of them over the years while I was still a student in New York. And I think when you go to a design school, you should pick a design school at a major city where you can actually work with designers. I think that would be the proper way of doing it. But if you are in some small town and you don't have access to a design school, then make a schedule for yourself and study from YouTube, but make a schedule so that way you discipline yourself to make sure that every week you spend a certain amount of hours studying fashion design, studying the subject of design. It doesn't have to be fashion entirely. Today's fashion designers can't just rely on being in the fashion world on its own. They need to expand a little bit. I mean, you need to learn styling, you need to learn accessories, then the business of design, the business of fashion, the way the global market works. I want to say sustainability and all these things, but that will come later. But right now, you should be focused in trying to be a very, very good designer. That should be your focus. And in order to be a very good designer, you should know all the design rules. It is important you should understand fabric. Now, fabric is one of those things where it's a science on its own. So you might pick up a fabric and you're not too sure what a fabric is made out of. I feel it's kind of okay as long as you understand what is good fabric against what is not so good fabric. Like the quality of the material, how you determine that, that is a learning skill on its own, and you should really look into that a little bit. So we will continue our conversation. I will stop it right here, but I want to, make these videos in this way where I just talk about stuff and you can just listen to my narration and hopefully pick up a few things here and there that you might actually like and you can use for yourself. So thank you. If you subscribed, if you liked, my videos. I appreciate it. I want to say thank you so much for your time, for your especially for your time, because your time is very important, and you chose to spend just a few minutes with me watching these videos, and I want to say thank you so much for that. So see you in the next video, and thank you.